And then you look inside of an atom, of the core of an atom, it's made up of neutrons and protons. And those neutrons and protons never touch each other. They're just bound together,
Yeah.
but they never
Wow.
touch. And then if you keep going, quarks will never touch each other. They're just bound together. Like if you just keep going and
Yeah.
going, nothing is ever touching anything. Which wouldn't
Yeah.
that mean that the basis of everything is nothing?
Yeah. Yeah. That just goes to show how fragile everything is. Like
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with being fragile, honestly. I mean, because, this desk is solid metal. That's pretty strong. But yeah,
yeah.
but the basis of it, it's like there's nothing. If you keep going, if nothing is ever touching anything, then is anything even there?
You are listening to the Boundless Enigma podcast with Sam Zins
And Ryan Mulkentine. On this podcast, we dive into the mind, reality, and existence itself to provide you with boundless ideas and insights.
Hello and welcome to the Boundless Enigma podcast, starring Sam and Ryan.
Yes. Welcome. Thank you, Sam.
Welcome back.
Wonderful introduction.
Of course. Well, we were supposed to have a
Ah,
guest today, but in fact we don't. So it's just us two today.
unfortunately. It's all right, though.
Yeah, we suck. So no, we'll still have we'll have some
No.
great chats here. But
No, but we have some guests lined up. I think we have a couple of guest ideas and people that we've reached out to in the future that are pretty exciting. Got a couple of people, someone from TikTok with 150,000 followers who will potentially come on next week or the week after. And we have a music artist who was wanting to come on our podcast as well. So hopefully we can have some of those guests coming on soon. And I hope
Absolutely.
that's enough to keep you guys coming back. Check it out.
Absolutely.
But
Well, with that being
ooh,
said, we'll hop right on in. And
hop
so
right
I,
in.
I guess maybe a spot that we could start off with is before we hopped on here, Ryan was talking about how he's got a very busy day or two set up for him. And maybe we could talk about like how that like affects you. Like what
Dude, I
what are
am
you
an
feeling from
introvert
it?
at heart, dude. I'm an introvert. And like that just means that I get drained in social outings, social experiences. Like it just sucks the life out of me. It sucks the energy out of me. It just takes so much effort to be social in a big group of people. And over the last
Yeah.
like day or two, I've just been social so much.
Okay, I have a question to follow that up with. How do you think that you could uh I guess preserve yourself? Like how can you feel okay continuing these social events that you have coming for you?
Oh God, I mean brute force right now because I'm not gonna get any breaks. But if I had time, like I would take an hour to myself and just do nothing. Like that's how I would
Hmm.
then I would feel so much better. I could really be
Yeah.
much more energized. But I mean, nothing nothing you can do in situations like this where you just gotta brute force it. And sometimes you just have to, you
Yeah,
know?
that is
Just
true.
gotta
That is true. Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of taking those small moments that you might have by yourself. Like say you're, at,
yeah.
at the baseball game and you go use the restroom. Like take those moments and take a couple breaths
Yes.
while you're in there. You know what I mean? Maybe not if somebody's taking a big dookie, but you know, maybe take some deep breaths,
No, don't take in the aroma, don't take in your sense in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But no, I think like taking those moments, like if I didn't have those moments, like I might go insane. Like it's those
Oh yeah.
moments that like
Right.
keeps me able to brute force my way through. I think something
Yeah,
else that
absolutely.
helps with situations where I just feel absolutely drained in social situations is finding like one or two people who I can have like a deeper conversation with.
Hmm.
Like I think what drains me is like constantly having to keep up like a facade of like a nice social person when it's like in reality I'm disagreeable. I talk about things that most people probably aren't interested in. And so I think like that takes so much energy to pretend like I'm this very presentable, uh, social person. It just takes
Nice
too
young
much
man.
energy. So yeah, exactly. It's like the person your grandma wants you to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be
Absolutely.
that. I want to be real. I Being authentic is like one of my number one values.
Yeah.
So, and what allows me to do that is finding in a big social gathering, it's like finding one person who I think is similar, who's also kind of feeling introverted, but doesn't isn't feeling is kind of drained the same way. Like I'll find the person that's also getting drained, and then we can like go deep together, and then like that will help renew some energy. I feel like,
Yeah, for sure. Like finding the interest and curiosity that you have in situations where it might not be the most interesting to you,
yeah,
perhaps. Or not even just situations, but people around you, and the the personality you feel like you have to hold up isn't the most interesting.
yeah. I don't know. Life as an introvert is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know because I wonder there's so many people that you see online on social media, like how they live their life. And I think a lot of those people are extroverts. They like to put their energy out into the world. They like to
Hmm.
connect more. They like to put out their socialness on social media and
Everywhere.
everywhere. And we see that. But I wonder how many like interesting and unique lives are lived that are just completely you would never know. Like it's like people that
Yeah.
lived in the 1970s, like they didn't have social media. Even the extroverts, you wouldn't know what they're really doing unless you knew them as a person.
Right.
And I think like who knows, like maybe your neighbor it is like a millionaire and you'd never know because he's just an introvert and he likes his time alone.
Yeah, no,
Who knows?
absolutely. And I think that that point that you just made is the reason why we should take time to, get to know different people, because you never know what you're going to find in somebody. And
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's got interesting things about them.
Well, everyone likes the charming extrovert, the socially
Right.
adept person, right? They're so charming. It's easy. They're easily liked, but that doesn't mean that somebody who's socially awkward isn't valuable or like valid in their own right. Like, I don't know, think about Elon Musk. Like he's definitely got
Yeah.
some sort of autism going on. Um, and he's pretty socially awkward, but the guy's bringing humanity to space. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like the
Yeah.
people that are socially awkward doesn't just because they're not pleasing at the initial appearance doesn't mean that they're not like incredibly interesting and intelligent people that you
For sure.
should take the time to like dig into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just a matter of um like communicating with them in such a way that works for them, because like somebody who's socially awkward probably wouldn't really appreciate somebody at a party like bringing them a shot and then everybody yelling like shots, like that, like that's not their thing. They'd rather
Yeah.
that social, like super social person come up to him and be like, hey man, how's it going, would you like a drink, would you like to join in on the dancing, or would
Yeah.
you, or in asking them what they want, instead of coming at them giving them what you think they want.
I think that that's the difference between somebody who's like socially extroverted and somebody who's socially adept. Like someone who is
Yeah.
socially intelligent will know what every individual they can kind of figure out what every individual kind of needs or wants in a social interaction versus that can be confused with somebody who's just socially extroverted and everyone thinks like, oh,
Hmm.
this person is so socially intelligent, but it's like, no, they're just extroverted and
No,
annoying.
they're just loud. They're just loud.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
like sometimes that loudness does work. Sometimes it does work, and it'll get a whole,
Yeah.
following behind them of people
Hmm.
who do like start taking the shots and jumping up and down and going
Right.
crazy. But then there's going to be the times where it doesn't work, and then or there's going to be times where people just don't realize that there are the people who are a little socially awkward and don't want to do that, and not to say that you have to hold somebody's hand at a party or anything like that, but you know I think it could be interesting for us to take time to maybe say hello to somebody that maybe
Yeah.
seems a little awkward, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you never know
I'd
situations like
appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I could totally be awkward.
Oh yeah, same. I think
Yeah.
I think to a degree all of us can be depending on situations. I mean, I think even the
Yeah.
most extroverted person, maybe like an extrovert showing up to a group, like a gathering of introverts, that'd probably be awkward for an extrovert. you know,
Mhm.
like
Sure,
having
they would be
conversations like
uncomfortable.
this. Yeah,
Yeah. They'd be uncomfortable.
it's like, yeah.
Maybe.
So yeah, maybe they're not. Maybe they'd
Yeah.
still jump up and down, or maybe they'd just leave probably. And
Yeah.
they'd probably not enjoy our
Interesting.
conversations as much. But
Do you
yeah,
identify as an introvert?
that's an interesting question. I feel like I do, but I like to also try to be in the middle because
Hmm.
I feel that when I put myself in the mindset of I'm an introvert, I feel like I corner myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel when I put myself on the line, I've never said I was an extrovert, so definitely not going that far. But
Yeah.
when I put myself more on the line of like like a 49-51% type thing, like 51%
Hmm.
introvert, I feel like that's a good spot for me because it kind of leaves me the opportunity to like be more social in social situations. Whereas normally I
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
I remember when we were younger, I remember you used to be more quiet than you are
Yeah,
now. You used to be like a little more shy as a kid in like elementary school.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely I used to be a very shy person. And honestly, I think my mom has kind of helped me learn that you don't need to be shy and quiet because she is the definition of, well, I mean, she's an introvert, but she's a Pete's man. You wouldn't think it. She's very like rambunctious.
Yeah.
So she's kind of taught me to like care less about what people think and kind of just do what you want to do. Obviously don't hurt
Hmm.
anyone, but do what you want to do, and it is what it is, kind of thing.
Do what you
You
want to
know?
do, and it is what it is. That's a motto
Yeah,
to live by. I like that.
yeah,
That's
it really
like
is.
just like the simplest way to be like, "Yep,
Yep,
this is what's going on, and it's all right."
yep. Yeah, that's kind of like Rodney's mentality. I love that, Like I really
Yeah.
do because it's so, blissful sounding.
People who really embody that like idea and mindset are like so nice to be around and like freeing
Yeah,
to be around because they have no expectations of you because they have no expectations of themselves.
right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
nice. Like my sister is one of
Yeah,
those people. It's nice. She kind
that's
of
awesome.
accepts you like as you are, no matter how strange you might be. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, I think that those are the people that those people. What are they called? Wallflowers. Yeah, wallflowers at
Oh,
parties.
wallflowers.
Is that what they call them?
What is that?
Wallflowers. Like just somebody who's like a little awkward, sitting against the wall,
Oh,
just doing nothing. Um,
yeah.
uh, I feel like those are like your sister is the type of person that would be,
She goes up
you
to
know,
those people.
kind to those people. Yeah, and
She, dude, she loves those people. She's
yeah,
like, she finds herself like drawn more to like introverts and wallflowers for sure. Like her boyfriend is like kind of a quiet and like intellectually different kind of guy. So
yeah,
she definitely loves like, it's interesting how like our genes are spread out in a way among the human population that like there's a certain percentage of every group of humans that are drawn towards the other group that might, do you know what I mean? It's like there's like
yeah.
personalities are like balanced in the population.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting, and I think like isn't extroverts are like far higher though than introverts.
Actually, I think there's more introverts than there are extroverts.
Really?
I
I
can look
could
it
see
up real
that.
quick.
Yeah, yeah, look that up. I could see that being the case nowadays. Because like I feel like social media has kind of like caused people to hibernate a little more, but could be wrong about that.
Hmm. The research is not definitive. Lots of different
Hmm.
results.
Okay.
Looks like the most common result is that it's 50-50.
Hmm. Interesting.
But artists are 61% introverts.
61%. Huh.
Yes,
That's
artists.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you do have
also
to
heard
have
that
that intuitive.
um I also heard that artists are much more likely to have schizophrenia. Or no,
Really?
was it I think it would just be mental illness in general.
That's interesting. I wonder why that is. Do you know?
I don't know. Oh, that's interesting. That's another interesting topic. Why why would they have more
Why would
mental health
they?
issues?
Maybe
Like that maybe
because they
they're
tend to get so caught up in their work that they don't really take care of themselves, perhaps.
oh,
That could be part of it, maybe.
I
Because
don't think
I've
that's like the main.
because like I've heard of like artists that just will go at it day in and day out, and that just doesn't seem healthy, you know?
Maybe they have like an obsessive component to their personality.
True. Yeah. Yeah, like they're addicted to their work so much that they just lose track of other things and just do their work and
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
maybe.
I've heard that having, I believe it's like two or three hobbies is important for sustaining a healthy life. And maybe for, a artist, maybe they get on that one hobby of art and then don't have many other hobbies and maybe that causes them some harm.
I think there's something more internally like directly correlated like with the personality
Hmm.
of and someone who ranks for artistic creativity and mental. I think there's some sort of like underlying link there that do you know what I mean? Like I think that I think it's
Like
something.
genetics?
Yeah, I think it's just like there must be a genetic correlation.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, although I I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess uh I tend to think a lot about how our environment affects us, and I definitely do consider the fact that genes are a thing, and they definitely do affect us. But um, I don't know. Yeah,
Okay, so
that's
in
tough.
the nature versus nurture debate, what do you think has greater power over us?
Um, I believe that nurture does. I believe that nurture
Interesting.
does. What are you thinking?
I think that they're both pretty powerful
For sure.
variables, but I think people underestimate the the limits that nature places on you. Like I think people underestimate the amount that your genes do contribute to like who you are. Not to say that
Hmm.
obviously you're where you grow up and how you are raised and what happens to you. That's huge. It's totally
Yeah,
huge.
for sure.
But I think people underestimate how powerful, like how set certain things are about you because of your
Right, right.
genes.
Yeah, I couldn't be LeBron James in any like if I could try my best and like if I could restart my life at any moment I wanted and if I could try to keep trying to make myself as perfectly physically capable as I could, there's not a chance that I could become LeBron James. Like that's obviously just that's just one example and it's a silly
Right.
example, but that's the truth. Like that's a limitation that my genetics have on me. I simply could not perform at a high level like he is. But I believe it's fairly 50-50 when it comes to nature nurture. I just like to think of nurture a lot because I think that's what we can take. That's what we have some choice over.
Power.
Yeah,
Right.
power over. Because I think of situations where I see like a mother or father like yelling at their kid out in public and just like bashing them. It's like I can't imagine what kind of like outcome that has on that child's future. And
Totally.
and it not
I
just
mean,
like with the way they react to conversations, but just everything. Like they're going to be tense in so many ways.
It's like your genes are you're gonna be you're gonna have a specific personality based on your genes, no matter what. Like there's gonna
Right.
be you're gonna have certain personality traits and brain differences because you have the DNA that you have, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that like you don't have choice in like, or that doesn't mean that like your situational factors, or you can control your situation as much as you can control your situational factors, you can control how healthy or unhealthy those traits get exhibited in a way.
Right. Right.
You know, like the
Yeah.
mom yelling at her son is obvious. It like maybe this son's an introvert by heart, by his genes, he can't help that. But when his
Yeah.
mom is yelling at him, he's gonna go inside and not want to, like he's gonna go further inside versus somebody
Yeah.
that
He's going to
is treated
suppress.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy might be suppressed with his mom yelling at him like that.
Yeah.
Someone who maybe expresses that healthily would be able to still be confident in saying what they believe, but still being true to their introvert nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the way that we're treated as children and just throughout our life really, but I say as children just because we're more, pliable. What I think that's the right term. As children. So yeah, like things like that are going to have a major impact on us, and that could be the matter of ever getting out of that mindset of suppressing our emotions, or maybe 10 years we get out of it, 20 years, 30 years, or like I said, never. So you know that's why I put so much emphasis on nurture, because I think it's something that we can give to others and ourselves that can really change the outcome of our entire lives and others' lives.
Yeah,
That's why
that's
I
the
find it
thing.
so important.
Well, that's there's kind of a contradictory philosophy to that actually that I think
Okay.
is it could be helpful to some people. Have you heard of the book what's it's like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah. Yeah.
And its philosophy is like your life is going to kind of be what it is, and
Mm,
there's you actually have a lot less like ability to change it than you think you do. And
yeah.
the way that you can find the most peace and happiness is just to accept whatever comes into your life and
That
to
is
just
true.
not give a fuck about trying to be amazing at this or trying to change who you are. So it's like that's an interesting philosophy, which I think, I mean, I don't think any one of these is like the one philosophy, but I think they all are important philosophies to keep in mind and you can use at different times.
For sure. That's a great way of putting it. I like that you said that, because that is the truth. Like there are situations where, like I feel like I'm in a situation right now with the anxiety that I've been having where I'm kind of using that philosophy of the art of not giving a fuck. Whereas in other situations where, I might be out at that party and see somebody who is like anxious on the wall, and then maybe I'll go up to him and talk to him, and then that's when my like nurturing philosophy comes in. So yeah, I think there are a lot of different situations that arise in life, and we just kind of have
Yeah.
to kind of like tailor our abilities to what's in front of us.
Right. And there's a lot of like, what are they called? Paradoxes in like how, like, could both be true? Like, can you have the ability of extraordinary change, but at the same time not have control over it or something? It's like there are these kind of like paradoxes. But I think like the truest, the truest truths in life are paradoxes in a way because they encompass all aspects of it. And it's like, how can you understand something like that? It doesn't make sense, but in a way, if you can understand it and allow both philosophies to exist, it's like maybe that's the truest form of truth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's hard to know what's what's right and wrong, but no, kind of like backtracking just a little bit. When you're talking about the art of not giving a fuck and how like we don't really have that much pull over what we do. Um, I think Sam Harris talks about how he believes that we don't have free will. And
Hmm.
I find that really interesting because we really don't, you know, like part of me wants to say in like some degree we do, but in some degrees we don't. But it's just such a hard topic.
It really is. That one boggles my mind.
It really does. Because like
It's
it
like,
feels like we do. Like I have the free will to pick up my water bottle right now. Like I made that choice to do that.
but it's like I can kind of understand it a little bit, where it's like it feels like we're making the choice to pick up my water bottle right now, but in
Yeah.
reality, that was just the like neural connection and like something happening in my brain that was most likely to occur in that moment, so it happened. Like,
Yeah.
but because like I'm identifying with it, it makes it seem like it's my choice,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, like that was my action. But what if it was just a action, if it was just an action that happened and it wasn't
Hmm.
mine, then it's
Hmm.
like, is there really a choice being made, or is there just something happening?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And yeah, I do. And it's like the our thoughts our thoughts made that choice, and our thoughts are influenced by so many other things that we don't have control over in that moment.
Yes. Everything, every output that we think is a choice, like I'm gonna say a choice is an output. Like that's for this and for
Yeah.
this analysis.
Right.
There are hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of inputs.
Yeah.
And none of those inputs are actually under our control. Even the ones that we think even the inputs that we think are under our control have
Yeah.
prior inputs behind them. And those that you might
Yeah.
think, oh, but it's like, oh, I'm tired right now, so I want to go to bed. But that because I but why am I tired? Why am I choosing to go to bed? Because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because I chose to stay up. It's like, well, why did you
Yeah.
choose to stay up? You keep going back and back and back.
Yeah.
Eventually, every single input is out of your control.
Exactly. Yeah, that is, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That is, yeah, and so like that brings up the question, do we have free will? And I don't know.
Right.
I don't think we do. You know, I don't have a deep analysis of
It
it
could
like I'm sure Sam does, but
it could also be one of those paradoxical truths where we both do and don't have free will at the same time. Like
mm, yeah.
like maybe we do have control over it in a sense, in like one view of it, and that is true in its own right. And like that, maybe that's absolutely true, but at the same time, could it also be absolutely true in another kind of perspective that
Mhm.
we don't have control? It's like I think there is a place we can get to where both are true.
Yeah.
And maybe that's confusing, but I honestly
No,
think that
it
it could be true.
I get what you're
Especially if it's
saying.
I think where the problem arises is when we start identifying with our choices.
Mm,
It's like maybe we aren't in control, but maybe like, because it's like the idea of the idea of me,
yeah.
that this is like a big spiritual debate, I suppose, that are we really someone? Are we am I, am I really someone, or am I just identifying with? Am I basically creating identification where there doesn't need to be identification? Because like I think we talked about this so many times in this podcast about ego and like, does the ego really exist? Because all of the building blocks that make us up came from somewhere, and how can we claim those as ours? And then we're gonna die and decompose, and then I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and
I feel like I'm
it's such
just
important.
scattered.
No, no, I definitely feel that because like you're scattered because there's so much
Oh, it's so much.
information Yeah, it's so much to talk about that like we couldn't possibly begin to even touch the surface on this podcast.
That's the problem
But
with some of these topics is that you need like prior knowledge of something that's already complex and you have to explain that.
yeah, yep, yep, exactly, and that's a lot. I mean, that that's what I find so interesting about Leo Gura's videos because he makes those like 3 and 4 hour long videos on topics, and it's like and he doesn't take a break. He doesn't, you know, cut it up, no editing, no nothing, but he does it perfectly. Like and that just goes to show the amount of knowledge that it takes to really be able to speak on topics like this, you know? And not to say
Yeah,
that we don't have any of that knowledge, but clearly there's a lot there.
right. Those hours of video are what allows him to explain the building blocks of bigger topics, which are already complex
Yeah,
building blocks, which require complex explanations of little pieces of those building blocks. And then he brings them all together so that you understand all of the concepts necessary to understand all of the foundational elements of the bigger concept, which he's brilliant with that. He's so good at
yeah.
explaining, and he gives such great examples.
Oh, absolutely. Like I love how he like points. You know, I've talked about pointing before. He points at points all the time, and you just have to listen to him. You just have to listen,
Yeah.
and you start to pick it up, and that takes a lot of
Yeah.
patience and attention. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, no,
He's
but
very
that's the point. You
gifted.
know, it takes. Yeah, he is. You know, but that's the point. It takes a lot of patience to talk about the subjects that we are talking about on this podcast because without patience, you're going to get frustrated, and when you get frustrated, you're going to lose track of where you're at, and you're not going to be able to, you know, keep a level head about the topics that require a lot of attention. You
Yeah.
know?
I think in a way it's almost like you need to it almost takes like the same energy that like socializing takes. Like you need to have
Yeah,
an after a while of like going through this stuff and explaining, it's like it can get tiring. And so you need to have enough
yeah,
built up energy to explain these things so you can go through everything.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and energy is hard.
I
But
know.
speaking of energy, what is energy? Like what's that about? You
What
know?
is energy?
Yeah,
Well, I
like
think that's like that's like asking like what is happening here? Like what's the universe? Like that I think that's the same question really. And honestly, maybe that answers
really.
the question. Maybe energy is just what makes up everything. Like that's
Hmm.
it's asking what is energy is the same thing as asking what is the universe because maybe energy and the universe are one and the same.
Hmm.
I
Damn,
mean, have
I
you heard
didn't
of
think my question would take us there.
think about string theory, dude. This is the basis of string theory that everything physical that exists at the smallest level is made up of vibrating energy.
Wow. Oh yeah, yeah. That okay.
It's like
Wow. Yeah,
a vibrating
that's
string of
fascinating.
energy.
That is just
And
fascinating.
that if it vibrates at a different frequency, it becomes a different type of physical matter. But at the end
Jeez.
of it, but it doesn't really. So really, what that means is that everything is a vibration, is a frequency of energy, according to string theory. My version of string theory. I don't know the true version of string theory.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That who
Yeah,
created string theory?
I don't know. I can look it up.
Oh, that's a good idea.
String theory. Let's see.
So I remember learning about it, but I don't remember who came up with it.
Gabriele Veneziano, Italian
Damn.
theoretical physicist.
Huh. Okay. I wouldn't
Hmm.
have guessed that.
Actually, I think I want to like let's see if we can get a simple definition
Yeah.
of string theory for our listeners who want to know. Okay. In simple terms, it does this by reimagining what reality is made of. Instead of treating subatomic particles as the fundamental building blocks of matter, String theory says that everything is made up of unbelievably tiny strings whose vibration produce effects that we interpret as atoms, electrons, and quarks. But what is the string? Then you have to ask, what's the string? You know? It's like, well, what's the string made of?
Yeah, what's the string made about? Yeah.
And I guess if you could just say, at some point, you have to just say it's made up of something intangible so that you can stop. And so it's like this physical piece of, no, like seriously, like otherwise it would just keep going and going and
Yeah.
going. And
Yeah, right.
this is a really, really interesting place in science and physics, because this is the place where physical science as we know it enters into spirituality, and they can work
Mm.
together and make sense.
Wow,
And it's like,
that's interesting.
and I think this might be a block for science. And this is where science can't explain everything.
Yeah.
Because at some level science doesn't like, it needs the tangible. But if the truth, if the true nature of the universe, of reality, isn't scientific, what if the true nature of reality is more ethereal, less tangible than we could ever imagine?
Yeah.
Then science can only go so far.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's a major flaw in science, for sure. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to know the answer to all that. I can't fathom it.
I have like
That's
a general idea of what I think is happening here, you know?
Let's hear it.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of was just like what I was saying a little bit. Like, I think that I was talking about this actually I was on a podcast a few weeks ago with this lady who's on TikTok. She likes to talk about these topics and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I was telling her, if you look at your finger, it's made up of cells, and those cells are made up of atoms, and then the atoms are made up of neutrons and protons, and those are made up of quarks, and those are made up of something else. And if you think about all atoms can't touch each other. Do you know that an atom is 99% open space?
No,
Did
I
you
didn't
know
know
that?
that fact. No.
This is scientifically proven to be true, that all atoms do not touch each other. They are just electrically
Oh.
attracted to each other. So like they are stuck together electrically, kind of like,
Yeah.
but they don't ever touch. And you can never get two atoms to touch each other. They will never touch. And so
Wow.
then you look inside of an atom, of the core of an atom, it's made up of neutrons and protons. And those neutrons and protons never touch each other. They're just bound together,
Yeah.
but they never
Wow.
touch. And then if you keep going, quarks will never touch each other. They're just bound together. Like if you just keep going and
Yeah.
going, nothing is ever touching anything. Which wouldn't
Yeah.
that mean that the basis of everything is nothing?
Yeah. Yeah, that just goes to show how fragile everything is, you know? Like
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with being fragile, honestly. I mean, because, this desk is solid metal. That's pretty strong. But
Yeah.
but the basis of it, it's like there's nothing. If you keep going, if nothing is ever touching anything, then is anything even there?
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
99.9% open space. How
Yeah,
does that make
that's
any
pretty insane.
sense? This is
Yeah.
scientific fact. Let me look it up.
That-
How much of an atom is open space? 99.99999999996% open space in a hydrogen atom.
That's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, how does this all work? That's what I mean by fragile, though. Like, how does how does that work? You know, like an atom is so tiny,
Yeah.
and there's I couldn't even begin to guess how many of them there are, but obviously there's a ton of them, and they're
Yep.
just keeping us together, basically. Yeah, I say together, but not obviously as we've heard, not
Yeah.
actually together.
Right.
That's
Just
what I mean
like
by like we're so fragile. We're not actually even together.
it's like something so profound and
Like we could
complex
dissolve.
is founded upon something so fragile.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
Like
it's
we could
found. It's
just
like
dissolve.
I mean, we won't just dissolve. We won't.
Right.
But
Unless like the
yet,
sun comes too close to us, then we'll dissolve.
okay, true, true
but
that.
what were you saying?
But it is kind of crazy to think that something that's barely there makes up something that seems so here, so
Mm-hmm.
tangible.
Yeah, yeah. To us, it's like yeah, this computer that I have in front of me, it's like yeah, oh yeah, this is solid. Yep, this thing isn't it looks it's all one thing. It's not disconnected in any way. But in
Yeah,
reality, in literally in reality, it is not one thing. That's
right.
pretty crazy. That's
So I
pretty
think your
crazy.
question of what is energy, I think, is honestly an important question
Hmm.
because it's like the things that are like an atom isn't held together by physically holding another atom. Like they're not touching, right? They're
Yeah,
energetically held together, right?
yeah, yeah.
With they're not ever touching, but they're energetically linked to staying together.
Hmm.
And so it's like everything in a way is kind of energetically connected in this way. And this is
Yeah,
where the lines get blurred between science and spirituality because you can't really explain something like that with just science.
yeah.
There's
Jeez, man.
another there's like this book. Oh, what's it called? The
The
it's like the
theory of everything.
Kyraid Kyrea or something. It's something foreign sounding,
um.
but it's this ancient book of truth.
Mm,
And its number one rule is that like everything is made up of vibrating energy. And this is like thousands of
wow.
years old. Like this is way before string theory was
Wow.
developed.
Wow.
It's like we're just rediscovering shit that people knew thousands of years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. We're rediscovering it and posting it in our own little format, basically.
But I
Wow.
can find it in here.
That's that's incredible. That was that we aren't the smartest people to have ever lived. Like there's no such thing as that. It's just that we experience things the way we experience things, and they experience things the way they experience things.
Okay. It's called the Kybalion.
The Kybalion. Okay.
The
When's it from?
Kybalion. Let's see. When is the Kybalion from? Oh, it was only published in 1908.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first principle of the Kybalion is that everything is mind. The universe is mental. That's interesting.
Hmm.
The second thing is as above so below, as below so above. This principle embodies the truth that there's always a correspondence between laws and phenomena. So like everything is kind of linked. And
Hmm.
then the third principle is that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Interesting.
Yeah, I remember learning about that in science.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
Sorry. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm talking a bunch here.
No, dude, I appreciate your scientific knowledge because I don't have as vast of a scientific knowledge as you do. Um, so this stuff is stuff that I maybe have learned back in grade school that I didn't really pursue as much, but I'm recalling now. Um,
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because it's obviously
I think
very
the
relevant
one,
in terms of what we're talking about.
right, the one that's just I think most mind blowing. It's like this is scientific theory that has been discovered and is true. 99.99999% of everything's open space. Like, just for one
Yeah.
moment, can you just realize that things are not what they seem? Things are much more complicated than you could ever understand. Just
Yeah.
that one fact alone should make you
Yeah.
question everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like far beyond anything that you could just imagine questioning on a daily basis. Like, I don't know, just trivial things, just life things, not anything crazy like, wow,
Yeah.
what is this all about, basically? Yeah, it's
Yes.
so interesting.
It's like something that seems 100% solid is the opposite of what you think it is. It's the
Yeah,
opposite of what you think it is.
yeah, we are
What
being
else?
bamboozled.
What else is what else is opposite? Probably everything is opposite than what we think.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why you can never be certain, and that's why radical skepticism is so important for our existence.
This is what I was talking about the paradox thing. Something that seems 100% solid is almost 100% nothing. Both are true.
Ah,
What else?
I see.
What other truths are like that? Where they're a paradox, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Actually, Leo
Wow.
Gura has an entire episode on paradoxes.
Yeah, I know. I think he probably has like a few on paradoxes. Yeah,
I'll have to check
that's
that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. Hmm. Yeah, in this episode alone, we've talked about like five major paradoxes. Or if I
Yes.
say five, but it's somewhere around five, like four, five, six, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's only four, five, or six. Like that's not.
Yes.
We're barely scratching the surface of what this is all about. Like we're not even
Dude,
scratching the surface.
no.
Like it's hard to even say that we've discovered like 0.1% of what we're talking about. Like I don't
Probably
think we have.
no. Probably not even to even get to 0.1% would probably take thousands of lifetimes, I bet you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even the most intelligent species have not. I mean, they maybe have gotten to that 0.1%,
Yeah,
but
maybe. I don't
but
know.
even then, it's hard to even know what 0.1% would even look like. But the point being is that we don't know shit, and that's how it is.
Life
So so if
is
you're out there and you think you know shit, then you better check yourself because you don't.
you better hop on this podcast so we can
Yeah,
let you know that
learn
you
you
don't
something.
know anything.
Yeah, that's the
Dude,
one takeaway from our podcast.
life is truly a boundless enigma.
It really, wow.
Dude,
I
isn't
couldn't
it
have said
though?
it better myself. It really is. It really is.
Dude,
It really is.
this podcast is embodying the truth of the
Itself.
universe is that
Yeah.
it's just the nature of the universe is like this infinitely unknowable thing that you just have a desire to understand. So fucking frustrating. Why would it do that?
Yeah.
Why would
Yeah,
it do
man. Come
that to
on.
us?
Can't we just know? Like, can it just unveil itself to us or something?
Oh god,
Uh,
give me some truth here. Enlighten me,
yeah. I
please.
need some truth. Hey, but you know what?
Yeah.
Everything that we talked about today and what you were just saying there, that's what makes life fun. That's what makes it fun. Because without the mystery, like,
Yeah.
what would we be doing right here?
Exactly. As much as I
But
desperately wish I could just have all the
yeah.
answers, the universe decided to become a human being named Ryan Malkantine to be limited so that it could experience discovering itself.
Yeah. Why not? Because why
Why
not?
not?
Oh, that's incredible.
It's
But
so crazy.
wow.
Well,
Well, on
I
that
suppose
note,
we can wrap up.
uh, yeah, yeah. On that note, let's wrap it up. This has been a great episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
Mm-hmm.
any last comments or words or anything?
Hey, follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We're gonna start posting a couple clips from podcasts, our best clips. So if you want to get rid of all of the fluff from our podcast and only listen to the best clips and snippets, check out our YouTube channel because we will be posting them there. And if you love this podcast, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Apple Music Podcasts, I forget what it's called. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating because we could use it,
We're
and
5-star
we
guys.
appreciate you. So anyway,
What can I
thanks so
say?
much for listening. I'm so happy that you're tuned in for this. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.